Well, everybody, welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason, and we're continuing along on the transmission swap on my single cab. This is the bad transmission. This is my aftermarket converter, which hopefully didn't get filled with junk and looks like drained 95% of the fluid out overnight, which is wonderful. Wanted to get as much of that fluid out of it as possible. And this is the transmission that is absolutely nothing but a core at this point after what I found in the pan. Definitely won't be doing anything with this until I have time to tear it apart and see if there's any usable pieces in it. So leave that there for now. And gotta get my, what is hopefully a good used transmission, get my converter poked into that thing, and then start getting it shoved back up into the truck. Optimistic about this transmission because the pan did not look bad. It had a little bit of black stuff in it, but the fluid smelled good, and a little bit of black stuff, you expect to find that in a transmission that's been driven. So we're going to get this stock converter off because it will not work with my 6-liter and the cam that I put in it. And then we'll get this thing up on the stand here. That shouldn't matter. There we go. Get that, where did I put my ratchet strap? Get this thing secured. Let's get you like so. Boom. Strap tightened. So let's get you moved around here like this. There we go. Now we know she's not coming off of there. And now the tricky part here, which is get the torque converter back into it with the pump lined up. Now it looks like, I'll show you guys, because this is a little trick that I've found that seems to help, and maybe it'll help you guys. So in our transmission here, we've got the input shaft. Right here, this is our input shaft. This is our stator support. We need to get both of those lined up on the appropriate splines in the converter. And then behind that, inside of here, which, let's see. Can you see it? Yeah. All right, see in the center of the screen, that little rectangle? And see that little rectangle in the center of the screen there? Way back in, those are the drive ears for the pump. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. And in order to get your torque converter seated all the way in, those drive ears need to line up into the two notches in your torque converter. And what I've found helps, and makes it a little bit easier, is getting those two drive ears exactly vertical. Because then you know you can put your two notches exactly vertical, and you have a much better chance of getting everything lined right up. So let's see if we can't stick it together. And I'm gonna tell you, I've done this many times, and it is still challenging. Maybe somebody that's done it a couple million times, it might be easy for, but even with all the times I've done this, it is still challenging. And it's super important. If you don't get this lined up, and you try to draw the transmission up against the engine, see, I think I missed, and then I spun it, and I think I turned the pump. So, the converter's gonna come out, and we're gonna try again. Looks like it's still there. Still super close. All right, so. Close. The trick to this is, and what happens is, if that torque converter snout is pushed up against those pump gears or those drive ears and you turn it to try to line it up, it'll turn the pump. It's very easy to turn the pump in this thing. All right, so let's see what that did. So I turned it 90 degrees. So if my pump is turned 90 degrees, I'll know that I was all the way engaged. If my pump is still where it was, I'll know that I was not all the way engaged. And it looks like I was super close, but I was not all the way on. There, that's the sound. From the depth, it looks like I'm all the way in. And you can just tell, like it's a more solid thunk because your input shaft is bottoming out against the bottom of the torque converter. Yeah, that's all the way in. So, now we just gotta poke it back up into the truck. And guys, I'll tell you, and I've learned this through experience, if you're having trouble getting the converter lined up, take a break. Especially if you start feeling frustrated, take a break, do something else for a few minutes, come back, try again. Trying to do it frustrated just makes it even more difficult to do. You gotta be calm and you gotta approach it knowing that it will go together, it just takes patience. So, that's good. Let's start poking things back together under the truck. There's not a lot of great angles for me to show you, so I'll just bring you back once I've made some progress. So it's been a few hours, but I've been very productive. I've got tomorrow's video uploading. It's almost 11:30. But I got tomorrow's video edited and it's uploading, as you can see. And, grab a light so you can actually see here. And I've got the transmission installed. Everything is hooked up, bolted up, connected. Drive shaft, exhaust, everything, all good to go. I did a little touch-up paint on some of the bolt heads and stuff just to keep everything nice under here how I like it. So now it's time to lower it down, reconnect the battery, fill it with ATF, and we'll see if it moves. First, get it filled with ATF though. Between the converter draining as well as it did and the pan, I have 2 gallons of ATF. I may be a little short. But I'll get it down, I'll get it filled up, we'll see where we're at. All right, we got the battery connected, got about 6 quarts of ATF in it. That should be enough that it at least won't suck the pan dry. And let's start it up. First step, does it not make terrible noises? Remember, this transmission is completely untested. It's out of a truck with a blown up engine. No terrible noises, off to a good start. Starting to get a little bit of smoke from my greasy fingerprints on the headers. Expected that. See if we can at least get a estimation on our transmission fluid here. Nothing on the stick, so we're gonna be correct. There we go, right to the top of the cold fill area. So now, let's just move it through the gears. Make sure we got fluid through all the passages and check again. Whoop, low again. Yep, not enough. Have to get some more tomorrow. It's a little bit of a bummer. I was hoping to be able to drive test it tonight and see if we've got it back good and see if this transmission is good. But it's a good stopping point for me. It's getting real close to midnight. I should go up and get some sleep. I got to run some errands tomorrow anyway with the kids, so I'll stop and grab another gallon of ATF. I mean, honestly, it's good that it's taking that much fluid because it means that I got a lot of the old fluid out of the torque converter and out of the transmission itself. So, while I'm disappointed that I can't go drive it tonight, I'm actually glad that I got a lot of the fluid out of this thing. So, let's call it a night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Time for another lunch break update, team. Went out this morning, ran some errands with my kids, picked up the ATF while I was out, managed to get the transmission fluid filled right up. So she's full, she's good. I lifted it up. I've just been doing some little paint touch-ups on the frame here and there. I'm trying to do a little touch-up here on this wheel where I've got a scratch. And this evening I'll come back down, get it off the lift, and get to work on the interior. I keep forgetting, like, I can't take this thing for a test drive until I detail the interior and put the seats back in it. But I can tell you, while I had it up on the lift, it goes into reverse and spins the wheels, and it goes into drive and spins the wheels, and all the other additional gears, third, second, first, spins the wheels. So, at least on a lift test, the transmission works well enough to rotate the tires with no load on them. So, good signs. I'm optimistic. But I'm out of time for now. I'm gonna go back up, spend the afternoon with my kids, and then this evening, we'll come down, we'll get started on the detail, and I've got a few other little odds and ends for it too, so we'll get those done as well. But yeah, that's it for now. Rainy day. We kind of needed the rain. I planted 10 replacement trees yesterday out on the side yard, so we needed the rain to water them. I'll see you guys later on this evening. All right, folks, well, it's later that same evening now. You can see I got the truck moved over. It did back out and it did drive back in, so promising. I've got the interior all back together, all cleaned up, polished up, shined up, fully detailed. Much better in here now. Got all that dust and everything cleaned off, so happy with how that's turned out. And I'm going up to bed. It's right at 11 o'clock. There's not really... I don't want to take it out for a test drive tonight because it is just pouring cats and dogs rain outside. So I'll probably take it for a test drive tomorrow and see how it goes. So see you guys tomorrow. Well, team, how about a little lunch break update? Left off last night. I got the interior all detailed up. I forgot to show you, but while I was at it, I don't know if you can see them in there. You can kind of see it, the shiny. I replaced the rear speakers and the B-pillars. They were working, but they were blown out. I'm guessing they were probably the original speakers. There they are in the scrap pile. So I replaced those, and I also got a new set of door speakers that I'm getting installed now. I got the driver's side done, and I'll get the passenger side done here in a minute. But that's my little goal for lunchtime today. Finish the speakers, and then all my interior work will be done, and this thing will sound a lot better. Those old speakers were garbage, blown. The front ones weren't working at all. The rear ones were blown, so this will be a nice improvement for when I'm driving around in this thing. But that's it, just a little quick lunch break update. All right, everybody, so I'm back down in the workshop. It's the same day, just later in the evening now, and I have good news and I have bad news. What should we start with? Let's start with the good news. The good news is I got the cruise control working in the truck. If you recall from when I converted it to the V8, for whatever reason, I never got around to doing the wiring to make the cruise control work. I've done that now. It's honestly not very difficult. I looked back in my computer because I was pretty sure I had saved the wire diagrams that I needed. The V6 trucks use a cruise control module. It's a little box that mounts to the firewall, and it has the extra cable that runs over to the throttle body, and it uses that cable to adjust the throttle and maintain speed. The drive-by-wire trucks, which is what this truck is now, they use a TAC module. It's called the Throttle Actuator Control Module, and that controls the electronic throttle body. And basically all you need to do, or all I did to get the cruise control working, is connect wires from the cruise control module connector on the truck, because I still had it there, to some of the wires on the TAC module connector. And I'll put it full screen here so you can see it, but the V8 truck with drive-by-wire,
It uses 4 wires for the cruise control system, basically. One wire is a brake signal that tells the TAC module when you press the brake pedal. That one is run separately. You don't even have to mess with that. It's already there. The other 3 wires, one wire is for the cruise control on switch. So when you turn the little switch to the on position. The next is for the set coast switch. So that's the button on the end that you press to set the speed that you want to stay at, or you can hold it and that will tell it to drop speed. And then the third is the resume accelerate switch. And that is the little, you push the little switch farther to the right and that tells it to add a mile an hour each time you bump it. Those are the only 3 wires you need. And to make this work, I literally followed my diagram, found the gray, dark blue, and gray with a black tracer. This is the original cruise control module connector. I just piggybacked onto those 3 wires to pick up those signals that I need. And then down here is my TAC module and the TAC module connector. And I just jumped into those 3 wires on the TAC module connector. And while I was out on my test drive, I tested it and the cruise control works and does everything that it's supposed to do. So I'm gonna get that cleaned up. I have some nice Deutsch connectors. So I'm gonna use one of my 3-pin Deutsch connectors to get those 3 wires connected. Boom, boom, boom. And then I will terminate and seal off the other wires in this harness here so that it looks clean, factory. Aside from the connector that isn't an original GM connector, you'll never be able to tell that anybody's done anything to it, and it'll function just like stock. So that's the good news. The bad news is that this transmission only has reverse and 3rd gear. So it did give me a check engine light, and I was able to pull the codes, which are often helpful. And the code I get is P0758, 2-3 shift solenoid control circuit. Now, that could be a couple things. It could be a wiring problem, could be a problem in the connector, it could be a bad solenoid, and what I believe is probably my problem is I've got a bad solenoid. Reason being, it was all working fine with the old transmission, it just, something failed internally in the transmission. The shift solenoids were working fine. I still didn't have any trouble codes aside from transmission component slipping. So I believe my wiring all the way to the transmission connector is perfectly fine. It's doing everything it's supposed to do. Same with the computer and everything else. It was all doing exactly what it's supposed to do before. But I didn't test the solenoids in this transmission, which in hindsight I should have. I checked the connector, I made sure all the wiring looked good, changed the fluid, put a new filter in it. I did not test the solenoids, and I should have. So, I think before I go any further down this road, I think my plan is going to be get it back up on the lift, get the pan off of it, and test the solenoid. I suspect I'm going to find that the solenoid is bad, and then assuming the solenoid is bad, I will probably take the solenoid out of the transmission that was in the truck because I know it was working. I'll take that solenoid out, I'll clean it up, I'll put it in this one, and we'll see if that fixes our issue. So maybe The fact that it only had third gear is why there was a rod through the side of that other engine. Maybe somebody was driving this thing around in third gear, just letting her sing at highway speed, and she chucked a rod. So it is what it is. I should have thought to check the solenoids. I didn't. But I'm gonna get my wiring cleaned up for the cruise control module. I'll get the truck back up, or for the cruise control rather. I'll get the truck back up on the lift. I'll get the transmission fluid out of it. We'll test that solenoid. So we'll see if I can get through all of that tonight. All right, everybody, it's close to midnight. I think, well, I got the transmission pan down off. I got the filter out. I pulled the 3-2 control solenoid and tested. It tests within range. And then I looked back here at solenoid B, the shift solenoid, and when I looked at it, I went to pull the connector off, and it was loose like this. So I pulled it out and tested it anyway, and it tests good on resistance. So I'm wondering if when I was putting the pan back on this thing, I accidentally knocked that clip loose, so it just wasn't plugged in, and that's why it wasn't working. I hope that's what it was, because the solenoid tests good. I took the solenoid, I pulled the solenoids out of that transmission, the one that came out of the truck that I burned up, and I literally test the exact same resistance to like 0.1 of an ohm difference between the two A-B solenoids in both transmissions. So I think the solenoid's fine. I think I had just knocked that plug loose, so it wasn't connected. So I'm gonna put it back together. I mean, it's creeping up on midnight, but I wanna see if I can get this thing doing what it's supposed to do. So I'm gonna put it back together, and then I'm gonna put it back together. Guys and girls, you see it's off the lift? That was it. That fixed it. I put it all back together, filled it with fluid, took it out. I've got all 4 gears and torque converter clutch now. It's driving, well, it's driving like a stock 4L60, which we can probably adjust some of that in the transmission tuning and make it a little bit better, but it's running and driving. It's got a good transmission in it again. Woo! It's late, but I'm pumped. Yeah, it's 12:40. I gotta go try to get myself to go to sleep somehow, but at least I can go to sleep knowing that this thing drives again. Oh, and because it has all 4 gears, I took it out on the interstate, got it up to 70, tested the cruise control again just to verify with my connectors all in and everything, and works just like factory. Set it, holds the speed, you can bump it up with the little increase button, you can lower it down with the coast button. Works perfectly. Man, whoo! What a way to end the evening. It's late, I'm tired, but man, am I excited. I'm so glad to have this thing. I mean, really, like, I can't think of anything else that I wanted or needed to do to it. Now we just got to drive it some more. Drive it and have some more fun with it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Well, everybody, it's the next evening, and as you can tell, I'm out getting some miles on this thing. Transmission's driving really well so far. I'm on the highway, just cruising, doing the speed limit, cruise control working. This thing is all fixed up. I've got a few errands to run this evening, so put 100 miles or so on the truck, and hopefully no problems. Hopefully the next clip you see is me back home. So I'll see you guys then. everybody. I'm back from my test drive. Good news, bad news. The good news is the transmission is working great. The bad news is there is a transmission cooling problem. And I'm pretty confident, I'd be willing to bet it's the transmission cooler in the radiator is clogged or partially clogged. And the reason I suspect that is the transmission temperature, the transmission got up to engine operating temperature, 210 degrees, pretty quickly. But then as I drove it, and then especially once I got on the highway, the transmission actually got warmer than engine operating temperature. And especially if you remember, I have a TrueCool 40K auxiliary cooler on this thing. So really, anytime you're on the highway, temperatures should be coming down because you have maximum airflow through the cooling stack and a moderate to light load on the drivetrain. So the fact that the temperature of the transmission is rising on the highway tells me that the cooling, it's just not getting cooled. The fluid is still being worked, but it's not getting cooled. And when I did this, when I put this truck together, if you remember, everything is new in this transmission cooling system. I put brand new cooler lines on it. I put a brand new TrueCool 40K cooler on it. All of the plumbing everywhere is new. The only part of this transmission cooling system that isn't new is the radiator and the factory cooler in the radiator. And I'm about 98% sure that this is the radiator out of my donor truck, the 6-liter donor truck. And that truck had, I want to say like 227,000 miles on it. It had a lot of miles on it. Not to mention, you know, it's a 25-year-old, or excuse me, a 20-year-old radiator. Because it looked to be the original. It's got GM markings on it, so I believe that was probably the original radiator of the truck, which means it's the original transmission cooler to that truck, which who knows how many transmissions were replaced in that truck, in that donor before I got it. Plus now, this is the this is the third transmission I've had in this truck. So I really, in my heart, in my gut, I'm thinking the cooler in the radiator is clogged. It's not allowing enough fluid to get through, to pass through both coolers and get back to the transmission. It's also overworking the fluid because the pump is still moving it, but if it can't move through the system, it has to go through the bypass, and that creates heat as well. So I think that's the problem. That's what I'm gonna start with. I'm gonna let it cool off, and then I'm gonna start getting things taken apart, drain the coolant, pull all the other stuff out of the way that I need to, the fans, the hoses, etc., and then I'll see if I have a good radiator here. If I don't, then I'll just buy a new radiator for it, and then hopefully that will resolve our issue. I'm pretty confident that's what it is. It's the only thing that makes sense with the symptoms that I'm experiencing, and it would also explain the failure of the other transmission. I started having issues when I was on a long highway trip, so the fluid just kept getting hotter and hotter, and then in that circumstance, I didn't stop before the transmission got hot enough to do damage, and it was all over at that point. This time I knew I was paying attention, and I didn't let the transmission get over 240, which isn't ideal, but it won't hurt it. So yeah. Not ideal, but can be fixed. Like all things, it can be fixed. But I think that's a good enough stopping point for this video. I want to get it edited and get it up for you guys this weekend. So I'm calling it. I'm going to let it cool off a little bit, and then I'll start draining fluids. You'll see that in the next video probably. And I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.